Hello, friend. Today's guest is a firecracker. You likely know Jane Velez-Mitchell from her time as a CNN headline news host, or maybe from her fierce animal activism. But today she opens up and she shares her embarrassing story that led her to her sobriety and talks about her mother who lived to almost 100 and the secrets that she learned from her mother about aging. And if you haven't already, please give me a follow on Instagram and Facebook for inspiration, recipes, to keep up with upcoming guests on the podcast. Just search Lauren Bernick, Well Elephant, or see the show notes. I put the handles there. And don't forget, you can watch us now on Spotify and YouTube. And thanks for listening, friend. You'll never know how much I appreciate you. Mwah. Hi, friends. I'm Lauren Bernick, and I'm flipping the script about growing older. My guests have been influencers since before that was even a thing. Welcome to the Anti-Aging Podcast. Welcome to Age Like a Badass Mother. Jane Velez-Mitchell is the founder and content editor of Unchained TV, a free global streaming television network and social media news and entertainment outlet. Unchained TV produces and streams original video content on the plant-based lifestyle. Unchained TV also streams hundreds of documentaries, cooking shows, lifestyle shows, talk shows, and music videos from a variety of sources, all with an eye towards benefiting animals, people, and the planet. Jane has won 4 Genesis Awards or commendations from the Humane Society of the United States for her reporting on animal issues, as well as numerous other awards on behalf of animal rights. Veg News named Velez-Mitchell Media Maven of the Year in 2010. For 6 years, she hosted her own show on CNN Headline News, where she ran a weekly segment on animal issues. Previously, Velez-Mitchell was a news anchor and reporter at KCAL TV in Los Angeles and WCBS TV in New York. She is the winner of a Los Angeles Emmy and a New York Emmy for her reporting. Velez-Mitchell is the author of 4 books, as well as an award-winning director and producer. She lives with her 2 companion animals in Los Angeles. I can hardly believe that I am interviewing Jane Velez-Mitchell, but please welcome Jane Velez-Mitchell. Hi.
Hey, great to be
Great
here.
to be here with you. Who are your 2 companion animals? What are their names?
Well, now we're up to 3.
Oh.
I have 2 rescue dogs and a rescue cat. So the dogs are Sunday and Wednesday, which are the days I rescued them. And the cat is Tux because she's a classic tuxedo cat.
Oh. And then so I know that you and I have similar backgrounds in that we had really unconventional childhoods. I had a lot of animals in my Did your parents let you have a lot of animals as a child?
Well, probably the reason I'm an animal rights activist is I had a dog named Mr. Monday, who a friend of my mother's who was in show business, this guy Cosmo brought in, and he was kind of a pool hall. My upbringing was kind of like, I don't know if you ever saw the Woody Allen film Broadway
Yeah.
Danny
Uh-huh.
Rose. There were a lot of characters like
Yes.
that. And he brought this dog in, Mr. Monday, and I fell in love with Mr. Monday. And then my parents were moving to a fancier apartment on 57th and 7th across the street from Carnegie Hall. We had been on 58th Street. And one day I came home and they had given my dog away. And to this day, I would say it's the worst thing that's ever
Oh my
happened to me.
God.
I immediately, I just felt like this was my brother who had been given away. I never found out what happened to him. I felt betrayed. I felt like I had betrayed him. I stopped trusting my parents because their story about a farm didn't hold water,
Yeah.
in Midtown
Mhm. Mhm.
Manhattan. And a lot of animal activists have similar stories. To this day, I wonder whatever happened to Mr. Monday. No accident that my dogs are named Sunday
Yeah.
and Wednesday, by
I
the
was going
way,
to say, yeah, you have
because
a name type. That's
yeah, somebody found a dog that looked when she asked me to adopt the dog that she had found running in the rain with no identification, no way of finding the owner. And I looked at this dog and I said, this dog has the same fox terrier look as Mr. Monday. So I called her Sunday and I felt a little bit of closure, but who knows? Who
Your
knows what
parents never
happens and where
told
we
you?
go.
Like, they just really stuck to the
They
farm?
made up a story. This is the
They
classic thing
went
that
to the
parents
farm.
do. "Oh, Cosmo gave him to somebody on a train who was going to a farm." It's just nonsense. Even as a
Mhm.
whatever 9-year-old or whatever I was, I knew that that wasn't the
You
truth.
know, that's another. Okay, so I was gonna say we had so many things in common. I grew up in New York as well when I was a kid till I was 10, and that was another thing. When we were moving to Texas, my mother, the night before, she said, "Oh, my friend's coming over for dinner." And as the friend was leaving, she's like, "Oh, hey, by the way, I'm taking your guinea pig, your gerbil, and your hamster with me because you can't take it on the plane." And I was so, just blindsided. I was sobbing, and we took the dog. We had a little dog, Fluffy, and she got to come to Texas. But same thing happened, that I just couldn't believe my mother would do that to me. She's like, "We can't take them on a plane. Their ears will burst." I was like, "Well, we could have driven or something. I don't know." Anyway.
Species is society that we
Mhm.
live in where we consider animals disposable objects,
Mhm.
which is why we're in the trouble we're in right now. LA fires, one of the worst catastrophes, one of the worst natural disasters in US history. The governor himself characterized it that way.
Mhm.
And what's the root cause? Root cause is climate change. And what's the root cause of climate change? Well, it's not entirely fossil
Right.
fuels. If it were, we would be starting to reverse climate change. The UN COP conferences wouldn't be the ineffective jokes that they are. So we have to look at animal agriculture's role in the climate. This is something Unchained TV really tries to
Mhm.
emphasize. Why don't you hear this in the mainstream media? Because people go, well, if that were true, wouldn't the mainstream? No, because look at the advertisers.
Right.
Fast food and pharmaceuticals,
Mhm.
the two industries that are wedded together who profit from animal agriculture. So, of course, they're not going to talk about
Yeah.
it. They will not talk about it.
It's horrific.
And yet, we're at a point where we are barreling towards a real climate apocalypse. There's only 9 boundaries, approximately, according to Sir David Attenborough, who's no radical, and we're breaking through 6 of them as we speak. We may already be past the point of no return. But if we don't start looking at our daily lifestyle choices, here's the thing. People go, well, the government's going to have to do something. First of all, the government is creating the climate crisis. I can talk about that in depth. But the idea that none of us have the power to reverse, no, 3 times a day on your plate, you can reverse climate
Mhm.
change. An Oxford University study showed, and it was published in the New York Times and no other media picked it up, that heavy meat eaters, which is most Americans, can reduce their greenhouse gas emissions footprint by 75% by switching to a plant-based diet.
Most people who listen to this podcast, first of all, are really, if they're not completely plant based, they're pretty plant forward. And so I don't want to shame anybody, but I do want people to think about these things that you're talking about because it's very important, like you said, for the health of our planet, for the health of people. I had very bad heart disease. That's how I came to this lifestyle. And then once get into it, you kind of can't look away. You can't be like, "Oh, I improved my health by not eating animals." But now that I'm not eating animals, it's easier for me to see the truth and start looking at, what the factory farming and the greenhouse gas emissions and all the other things once you really dig into it. But yeah, I suggest that people, go to Unchained TV and start watching some of your programming and maybe start with the more palatable programs and then go on to the harder core Dominion and things like that. But you know, um,
May I say something?
please.
Okay, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. I do not take a salary. We are available on any cell phone. You simply put the word Unchained TV in there, one word, Unchained TV, and these 2,000 documentaries, cooking shows. Like if you say, well, I could never give up cheese, I got a whole
Right.
category on cheese. Okay. Whatever your thought is about this issue, there's an answer in these
Yep.
documentaries. It's free.
Yeah.
And there's no catch. People are like, well, what's your angle? My angle is I don't want to live in a planet that is torturing 92 billion animals unnecessarily, that's causing terrible problems for humans'
Mhm.
health, heart disease, cancer. People don't even realize that processed meat is officially
It's,
cancer
yeah,
causing, a level
carcinogen.
1
Mhm.
carcinogen, according to the World Health Organization. Meanwhile, the news media is writing all these articles about processed veggies. They never mention that processed meat is officially
Yeah,
cancer
it's cancer
causing.
causing.
Cancer causing. And so we have these solutions. And what I will say is, if you're watching this and going, "Oh, this woman, what a pain in the ass," blah, blah, blah. Well, look, that's how I felt. I'm a recovering alcoholic. Um, Knock on wood, in a couple of months, I'll be 30
30
years
years,
sober.
April Fools. I
Yeah.
saw that. April Fool's Day.
Yes. And, when I was in my disease, I did not want to hear it. So only my good friends said, "Jane, you had a problem. You've had enough." My other friends, my fair weather friends, are like, "Oh, it was fun. Don't worry about it." Right. So only your real friends will tell you if you have a problem.
That's right.
Secondly, I thought, well, when I get sober, it's going to be the end of fun, the end of
Right.
dancing, the end of singing, the end of karaoke, the end of. No, I go to more parties. I don't necessarily karaoke that much, but I'm having more fun.
Yes.
It's the same thing with giving up meat and dairy. You think, "Oh, I'll never be able to go to a potluck again. What do I order at a restaurant?" Nobody cares what you're ordering. Just like when I got sober first, I was like, well, people are going to think, "Oh, she's not drinking." Nobody
Nobody
cares.
cares.
Nobody cares what you're drinking or not drinking. Nobody cares what you're eating or not eating. Do what you
Yes,
know is
that's
right,
right.
and you will feel so much better. You will have so much energy. You know what my biggest criticism people tell me? "Calm down, Jane. You have too much energy. Can you take it down a
Take it
little
down.
bit? Can you take it down?"
Jane, I'm with you.
Um,
I don't care. And I am whole food plant-based. I don't eat oil either. And so you want to talk about no fun people? Like I pull my food out of my purse at a restaurant, okay? I take it, and I don't give a crap what people think and I don't care. But you mentioned 30 years sober. What are you going to do on April 1st to celebrate? Do you do some kind of thing every
Well,
year?
first of all, April Fool's Day is a perfect,
Right?
perfect anniversary day for me because that was my
That's
specialty.
right.
I was the lampshade uh, on the head person at the party. So, no, I mean, I'll just celebrate, quietly. It is a milestone, but all we have is
Yeah.
today. You can't get overconfident. Your addiction is doing push-ups the entire time you're sober, and so you have to. It's a spiritual problem with a spiritual solution, and you have to work it every single
Yeah.
day. And so I certainly do not work it perfectly, but I work it as best I can. And I'm just so grateful. I have a lot of
Mhm.
gratitude, and that's what I think when people go vegan. And I know the word vegan. Oh, we're supposed to say plant-based now because people are scared of the word vegan. Stop it. It's a word. Okay. Um, and I just found out uploading a video to Unchained TV that it's a very recent word, by the way. It
Oh,
was only
yeah.
in the mid 1940s that the Vegetarian Society had a subgroup that didn't want to eat dairy or eggs. And they said, "Can we have a section of your newsletter?" And the Vegetarian Society said no. So they got annoyed and they put out their own newsletter and they took the first three letters of the word vegetarian and the last two letters of the word vegetarian and they put them
Oh,
together.
for vegan.
And do you know that vegan only appeared for the first time in a dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary, in
Oh, I
1962?
believe it.
So we're talking about people have been vegan since the dawn of
Oh, yeah.
time, but the word is very
Very
modern and
new.
recent.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, can I ask how old you are?
I'm 69.
69. All right. So, because this is age like a badass mother, and I know
Yeah,
that, how old do you feel?
I'd say 42.
42. That's very specific. Why do you feel 42?
Well, I probably could calculate it down. They say that when you're drinking alcoholically, your emotional development
Mm.
stops at
Oh,
that
that's
time. So, I would have to say I was 39 when I got sober. So, that means that emotionally, psychologically, I might be around 16 at that time.
right.
That was when I started
Yeah.
drinking. So then you could just do the math and think, well, how long has it been? 16 and 30. Okay, so maybe I'm 16 and 30. So 40. So yeah, maybe 47, something
Okay.
like that.
Okay. That's interesting.
I'm very
You
youthful.
are very youthful. Do you have like some kind of, aside from just eating vegan, do you have some kind of, routine? She has an apple in her hands, and
An apple a day keeps the
I'm
doctor away.
telling,
What happened to that
I
old
know,
saying? Nobody
right?
uses it
It's really
anymore.
true. It really is. What do you eat? Tell us some of the things you eat, or what's your routine?
Well, look, I'm not perfect. And, as a recovering alcoholic, I did say I have very self destructive
Did you
impulses, right?
trade
People
one
don't,
for another, like one obsession for
well,
another?
I'm not one of these people like who is entirely whole food.
Right.
I try, but I also like to have my desserts and my pastries.
So do
To
I.
quote Irma Bombeck, imagine those poor ladies who passed up dessert the last night on the
I know,
Titanic.
right? No shit.
One of my favorite
It's
quotes.
true. I loved her.
So I try to moderate. I don't want these. I know a few people. I obviously no meat and dairy. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't eat this. I'm gluten free. I was like, okay, I'm trying to moderate other. For people with an addictive personality, the hardest thing is to moderate,
Yes,
right?
right.
So I would say I have a sweet tooth. That's probably my one of my big character defects. But uh, I'll just give you lately, I've been on a kick. Somebody sent me a video about how to have smoothies that are truly superfood smoothies. And the key is putting the vegetables in first so that you don't pile it with fruit.
Oh,
Now, there's nothing wrong with fruit, but if you just make an
yeah.
entire fruit smoothie with frozen fruit, which is compressed fruit to a large degree, that's gonna that's gonna be very, sugar prone. So I've been doing it and I'm
What do
loving
you put
it.
in it?
Okay, kale. You
Yeah.
just take a head of kale and wash it
Do
several
you take the
times.
stems
Maybe you
out?
wonder,
I guess.
what's this wash 3 times? Like,
Oh, I
where did
know.
that come from? Anyway,
Do you take the stems
um,
out of it?
I don't.
Okay.
I
You don't need
started, but
to,
then I
right?
was like, I'm not eating this. Just put it all in. And then I put frozen mango, frozen blueberries. I do use a little stevia with vanilla.
Uh-huh.
That's
Oh,
my
yeah.
secret weapon, I
Okay.
would say. For those who have sweet tooths, stevia, vanilla stevia. If you just have the stevia, sometimes it's a bad advertise. But if you mix it with vanilla, and I use alcohol free vanilla, you mix vanilla and stevia, liquid stevia, and I put that in like maybe 4 drops,
Okay.
4 squirts. And then I put some soy milk and then I fill the rest up with water and blend it. It is a
Delicious.
drink that charges you through the day. I love it. And I just would recommend it to anybody. I feel like it's life changing. It's a really good
Wow.
way to start off the day. You have a big thing in your Cuisinart if you have
Yeah.
that or whatever your blender is. Then you put it in the fridge. And then when you want some more water, I've already had mine today. It's 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. And now I'm having my botanicals, which
What's
is
that? Tea?
well, you can get tea that's already this is blueberry, raspberry, hibiscus,
Ooh.
botanicals. So, people think of tea as hot,
Mm-hmm.
but this is one glass for tea. So I don't, I don't like water.
Yeah.
Like I love these people walk around with a water bottle. It's very hard for me to just drink water. So I have these botanicals instead of drinking soda,
Right.
for
Right.
example. I have this. So this isn't bad for you and you get your water.
That's good.
So then, okay, I'll continue. And again, I am definitely not perfect. I have
Who
always the word if
is?
it's bad for you, I want
That's
it.
right.
If it's too expensive, I want it.
Right.
If it's dangerous, I want to try it. Those are my instincts. But so I do a lot of tofu, extra
Yeah, me
firm. If you're
too.
going to do tofu, do extra
Yeah.
firm, people.
Yeah.
People say, "Oh, I hate tofu." Did you try to use the tofu that's wobbly, that's only for creams, and try to make a sandwich out of it? It's not going to
Yeah, they
work.
have that
So
super
I take
firm
a lot of
now from like Trader
yeah,
Joe's. It's not expensive either. The organic,
exactly.
oh, it's
Super
delicious.
firm.
Super
That's it.
firm.
Well, I yesterday I had a TLT
Yeah.
sandwich. That's a
Tempeh.
tofu,
Oh,
lettuce, and tomato sandwich.
yum.
And then I get those carb balance
Uh-huh.
tortillas, and I put it in a tortilla, or I use whole grain food like Dave's Killer Bread, or there's another one that's very Switzerland type bread that's,
Yeah.
it's yeah. And so that's what I had yesterday. I'll have a salad. I'm big on popcorn. I'm a
Love
popcornaholic.
popcorn. Do you have an
I
air
make my
popper?
own popcorn. I have a popper.
Yeah,
I
me
make it,
too.
and I try to put well, one of the things that I realized along the road, because I've always struggled with my weight. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm that 10 pounds back and
Right.
forth person. And I realized that I was pouring oil on things, and you can go out and have a vegan ice cream sundae for what, a tablespoon of oil.
Right.
So I use the spray oil and I go
Yeah.
and I try to use as little oil as possible. I know you're no oil
But
and
that's
I look
okay.
up
It
to you
doesn't
and you're my hero. But again, I try to, again, the moderation is what I'm aiming for, to see if I
absolutely.
can moderate some of these behaviors. So that's that. And then at night, because this is really when my sweet tooth kicks up, is about, I've worked all day. I work like
I
literally
bet.
sometimes 14
I
hours a
bet.
day. And then around 9:30 at night, I want to reward myself, and I happen to like watching BritBox. I don't know why, but I only like to watch British detective stories. Don't ask
That's
me.
so
I have no
funny.
clue, but maybe it's the murders that happen in the gorgeous
Yeah.
estates, and then the murders are very sanitary. It's people just have a little champagne that's poisoned, and
They
they
go
go like
and then they
this.
fall over.
It's much better than some of the American stuff is just so over the top, gruesome
Gory.
and unrealistic, like some gorgeous model fighting 15 ninjas and beating, it's like, I'd rather watch BritBox. And so then that's when my sweet tooth comes out, where I
Yes.
start, well, I should have chocolate while I'm doing this. I should have. So actually, it was a friend of mine, and we're doing a series on this, vegan beauty queen. She has great stuff. She says she makes a parfait. She puts fruit, then some vegan yogurt, Silk
Right.
or any of
Forager.
those
I love
yogurts.
Forager.
Yeah. Then she puts more
Uh-huh.
fruit. Then she puts a little granola. Then she puts a little, she makes like a parfait. She actually has a parfait
That's
dish, like one
delicious.
of those little, and she does it with yogurt and fruit
And you can
and some
even mix
granola.
in some cacao and some date syrup, something like that. Oh, it'd be delicious.
Go to town and have
Yeah.
fun with it. Well, guess what? Psychologically, it has the same impact as if I went out and bought, a container of vegan Ben and
Yeah.
Jerry's. Which, by the way, the mainstream ice cream places like Ben and Jerry's, they're becoming much more
Yes.
plant based. But
Absolutely.
I'm the type of person, if I got a pint of vegan Ben and Jerry's at Ralph's, it would be gone
Right.
before I got back.
I'm the same
Okay, so
way. If I
yeah.
start something that I like, for me, it's like chips and dip. So, like that Credo queso,
Oh,
forget it. I
yeah.
got one yesterday, it's
Yeah.
already gone. So I'm the same way. Like, nobody's
Yeah.
perfect, but
Nobody's perfect.
like I've said, people, I just want to meet them where they are. Just, you can make these small changes.
Yeah, but the difference is that, like I say, if I did eat a container of vegan Ben and Jerry's, I'm not going to drive the wrong way down the
You're
freeway,
not going to kill
right?
somebody, right?
That's the difference.
Exactly.
And if you eat animals, an animal died.
Yes,
Okay. Or
for
many animals.
sure.
If you eat the average hamburger, it's blended food from many, many
Hmm.
cows. You could be eating the body parts of hundreds or even thousands
That's
of
right.
cows.
It's
Not
disgusting.
so
You
appetizing.
know,
Yeah.
have you ever met Renee King Sonnen from Rowdy
She's
Girl?
one of my best friends. We've done a music video
Oh, I
together.
love her. She's been on.
Texas is going
That's
vegan.
yes,
Texas is going
that's
vegan,
right.
baby. Texas is going
Oh, you did
vegan
that with her?
right
Oh my
now.
god.
Please don't have a cow.
It's so funny because you remind me of her. I didn't know you guys knew each other, but obviously the animal rights thing, but also you've both been sober for quite a while. And I think that that's interesting that, that sobriety. I wonder if that's, like you said, you trade one obsession for another and now maybe you're putting your energy into such this great place, the two of you. You think that's part of it?
Well, we did a Texas vegan tour
I
together,
love her.
which was launched after we recorded that song. And it's on Unchained TV. If you want to watch
Oh,
it,
I'd love to. Are you kidding? I love her.
under the music section. And then we went on a Texas vegan tour. And here's the funny thing. So I'm coming in from LA and I decide I want to be very Texan. So I went and bought 2 red, white, and blue cowboy hats and these red, white, and blue vests. This was years ago. And we went on this Texas vegan tour. And I bought an extra one for her husband,
For
Tommy, too.
Tommy.
And he looked at me like, ugh, you city girl. Well, we went through the entire, like half of Texas, going from Veg Fest to universities, doing this whole tour. We were the only two people wearing cowboy
Yeah.
hats the entire
Yes.
time.
We don't wear cowboy hats here. Well, some people do. That's not true, but yeah.
Well, we were particularly prominent with our red, white, and blue
Oh my
cowboy
God,
hats.
Jane, that's
It was
hilarious.
very
That's
funny.
so
But
funny.
we laugh. The two of us, oh my God, when we get together, because we're both loud and obnoxious, let's be
She's
real.
hilarious.
And but she's my hero. I
Yes.
mean, she uh is the Texas cattle rancher's wife
Yes.
who went vegan
Yes.
and turned her husband vegan and turned her calf cow operation into a vegan animal
I know.
sanctuary.
I
Hello.
know.
And when she talks, people listen because she talks now. Sometimes she'll call me up and she's so funny. She'll be like, now listen here and listen good. I'm like, hello,
Yes, she does.
Renee.
That's how she answers. I know. She's called me up too. And we've had her on the show. And I was like, she doesn't live that far from me. I'm like, I am coming to
No,
your
I
ranch.
was going to mention that to you
Yeah.
prior to the show, but we just
Yeah.
got started. But she go visit
Yes.
Rowdy Girl
Oh my God.
Sanctuary.
I know. I need
It's
to.
great.
I'm going to go. And have you ever visited Central Texas Pig Rescue?
No, I
Because
haven't.
I saw on Unchained TV, you have this show called Pig Little Lies. And it
Yes.
reminded me because Central Texas Pig Rescue had to raise money. It was like a beauty pageant for pigs, and these pigs were all dressed up. Oh my God. It was incredible.
Is there video of
There
this? We
might
want to put
be.
it on Unchained.
We were talking about the pig pageant and Unchained TV because you have Pig Little Lies, and people need to know that they get these little teeny tiny pigs, and people say, "Oh, these are baby potbelly pigs, and they're not going to get bigger," but of course they do, and they're huge. 500-pound pigs, and then people are like, what am I going to do with this? And then they surrender them. And so you guys find homes for them on I've seen that on Pig Little Lies, but that's what Central Texas Pig Rescue did, and that's why they had this beauty pageant for pigs to raise awareness. And they were all these huge pigs, they were adorable in their tutus. And I think that once people see this, they realize, oh, a pig is like a dog, a cow is like a dog, a chicken is like a dog. I don't think that it's speciesism, like we talked about, that people don't realize this. But yes, I will
Yeah.
introduce you. That will be Central Texas Pig Rescue
Well,
is amazing.
here's what happened with Pig Little Eyes, which, by the way, has been on PBS stations around the country, and it's been a real hit. Um, and so what happened was we were talking about Unchained TV. We're the world's only free nonprofit streaming TV network for animal rights, for plant-based. We're pretty much the only plant-based. There's a couple of people streaming a little bit of content, but we're the premier plant-based streaming television network. So we were talking with a group of us, like, how do we put our name on the map? Because we don't have multi-million-dollar advertising budgets like the other
Mhm.
networks. So somebody said, Netflix was made by, I believe it was House of Cards, and Disney streaming network was made by The Morning Show. You need a hit show. And I was like, yeah, we need a hit reality show. So I called my friend Simone Reyes, who's been in reality TV shows. And I said, Simone, we need to do a reality show. She goes, hold on, Jane, I can't talk right now. I'm trying to rescue two pigs. They're in a high kill shelter. If I don't get them out by tonight, they're going to be killed. I said, wait a second, that's our show. And literally, we followed those two pigs. The only thing we reenacted was the opening phone call. Everything else is exactly how it happened. We got the two pigs out. They went to a sanctuary, a micro sanctuary in North Hollywood. Then it turns out Mama was pregnant,
I
and
saw
she
that.
ended up giving birth. I don't want to give it away, but the drama and the excitement, it's a roller coaster. It's a really
It's a
fun
great show.
show. People, you can watch it as an hour movie or you can watch it as a 5-part
Hmm.
series. And again, it's also been on PBS. So, yeah, that was one of our more successful shows. And I knew we had a hit when some neighbor came up to me and said, what happened to Beatrice? I said, wow,
That's right.
that's
Yeah,
interesting. So we're putting ourselves on the map. It's a process, not
you
an
are.
event,
And you've had
right? So
yeah, you have
yeah.
that great,
When
great
CNN
chicken.
started, they laughed at it and they said nobody's going to want 24-hour news, and they called it chicken
Right.
noodle news. But Ted Turner had a vision and he stuck to it. And I use that as an inspiration because I have a vision. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah. You do. I think nobody can stop you, Jane. If I had to guess, but also, you have great cooking shows. New Day, New Chef. You've had a lot of my friends on, Chef AJ and Juliana Hever and uh, Miyoko. I'm about to interview Miyoko Shinner. I can't wait to talk to her next week. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you've had on a lot. You have a lot of great chefs doing plant based cooking. I used to do a plant based cooking on Chef AJ's channel once a month. She is You want to talk about dessert. Have you tried do you have her new cookbook, the Sweet
Yes.
Indulgence?
I did, and I worked on it, and there was this guy who was doing plumbing work for me or something. He was here all day, and I when somebody is really nice, I try to always give them a vegan book
Oh, nice.
because really funny, some of the workmen who come in here are far more open to this conversation than some of the hoity-toities that know it all, and he took the book and he goes, my wife or my girlfriend is really going to love this. We're Because he was quite overweight.
Uh-huh.
I would say he was obese. And we're going to use these recipes. And he was so grateful. And I hope they do use
Yeah.
the recipes because, Chef AJ used to be obese and
Yes.
she changed her entire physique. She's now like
Yes.
this
She's tiny.
by using dates instead of
Yes.
sugar. And her food is so delicious. When we had her on New Day, New Chef, when we yelled cut, everybody, including the crew, which was not necessarily vegan, raced in. We were almost like fighting over it because her food it's like a feast for the
Yes.
eyes and it's so
So good.
delicious.
She's
Mm,
amazing. Yeah,
I
and
love her.
I love her too. She's making me do improv with her over Zoom now. She's Oh god. I love her. I would only do it for her, but
Yeah.
she's wonderful. So I want to get back to your parents. I know you did a documentary about your mom, Anita Velez, Dancing Through Life. So you and I, again, I started talking about how we had some things in common, like parents with no boundaries. I know you used to go to cocktail parties with your parents. I went to singles bars with my mother. I mean, I think our parents didn't necessarily make us go to school. It was kind of, like your dad took you on vacation and my mom was like, yeah, you'll learn in life, whatever. Um,
Sounds like you read my
oh,
biography, my
I read your
autobiography.
book and of
Yeah.
course I'm going to read your book to prepare to interview
Wow.
you. But also, so what do you think having parents like that with no boundaries? How do you think that shaped you?
I'm very grateful for the parents I had. They weren't perfect, but who
Right.
is? My dad was, I would say, a high functioning alcoholic, although, it's self diagnosed for the most part. But he was typical madman. He was an Irish advertising executive with an agency on Madison Avenue, straight out of Mad Men with olive martinis and the pipes. And he never put a pair of jeans on in his entire life. And really, honestly, I don't even have to watch that show because I lived it. And my mom was a showgirl. She was a dancer. She
Beautiful.
came from Puerto Rico to New York by herself on a boat at the height of the Great Depression. And she taught herself to dance by watching movies. And then she was actually on a bread line getting bread from her for her mom during the Depression. And somebody said to her, she actually went on the wrong line and was on a line for extras at a
Oh my
Broadway.
God.
And they said, "Do you know the Mexican hat dance?" And she said, "Sure." And she did it. And they hired her, and she then started working in show business. And at one point, she worked for Ringling Brothers and got shot out of a
Oh my
cannon.
God.
And that's the last time she worked for Ringling Brothers. She got out of that, but she formed a dance troupe called Anita Velez Dancers, and they would travel hotels, the Caribbean, United States, and Canada, perform. And then her partner, her dance partner, was Marina Svetlova, who was Russian, and Marina would do the ballet, and Mom would do the Latin dancing. And so it was kind of like this take the show on the road. She also did the five a days uh, during the kind of early days. I guess it ended when vaudeville ended, but they would have live performances in between movies,
Yes.
in between
Yeah.
movie showings. So her claim to fame was she played the Palace Theater,
Wow.
and she was super fun, very avant garde. She was doing yoga in the 40s. She was a pescatarian um, in the 40s and 50s. And actually, when she married my dad switched to primarily pescatarian.
Wow.
We actually thought of ourselves as vegetarian, but we were not.
Sure.
But at least we didn't have dead animal, meat in the
Yes,
house.
same.
And so I do thank my mom for sending me on the journey. It
Yeah.
is a journey. Very few people, God bless them, the ones who they see one video, boom, they're vegan. But she put me on the journey, and so as I followed my career, I went to NYU and worked in Fort Myers, Florida, and Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I started to see things and see how animals were treated. And I became more interested in animal rights. And essentially, what happened was I was at KCAL TV, where I worked for 12 years on the Paramount Studios lot. And this guy walks in by the name of Howard Lyman, who I was scheduled to interview. And he was the mad cowboy who had been on Oprah revealing the horrors of his
Right.
industry. And his story is he got very deathly ill and he was going into surgery and he made a pact with God. God, if you get me out of this surgery alive, I'm going to reveal the horrors of my industry. He survived. He wrote a book called Mad Cowboy. He went on Oprah. Remember the
Yeah.
cattlemen sued her
Yes,
many
yes.
years ago?
That's when we
Well,
got
anyway, I
Dr.
guess it was like
Phil.
exactly. That's how we got Dr. Phil. He was, I guess, a trial
Mhm.
consultant on that. Anyway, so he walks into the newsroom and I interviewed him. And then afterwards, I'm at my cubicle and Howard Lyman and his publicist, Mara Nealon, who turns out is very vigorous activist, they walk up to me and they said, "We hear you're a vegetarian." And I said, "Yes, I am." And they said, "Well, do you eat dairy?" And I hung my head, kind of shocked, because they had just said about how the babies are ripped from the mothers and the boy calves are shot or put in veal
Oh, it's
crates and
horrible.
all this horrible things. And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Liquid meat." Like that, right at my
Yeah.
nose. Liquid
Put his
meat.
fingers in your
That's the
face.
moment I went vegan. So when you
Oh.
say don't shame people, well, I was shamed into
Yeah,
going
you know
vegan.
what?
Thank
I
you,
know.
Howard and Mara.
Yeah.
If he had just said, "Well, we think maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe you should try," I probably wouldn't have heard it. But when he said
Yeah.
liquid meat like that, so you know what I do now? I go up to people and I go, "Liquid meat," and they get mad and they throw me out of their house. No, but honestly, I have to thank him for
Yes.
being real. We have to stop apologizing for being right. We're
Yes.
at a point of no return. I mean, really, are we a stupid species, the
Maybe.
human species?
Yes.
Because if we keep eating animals and not looking at the impact of animal agriculture on climate change, we're going to get to the point of no return. This is just the appetizer, people.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't say I'm right about it the way I handle it, because I always admire people who just tell it like it is, because I feel like I've been dripping. I feel like a lot of my friends have gone vegan. I've been vegan for 10 years. I was a vegetarian for a long time, but same as you. But I feel like I dripped on people long enough that they're now going. But it took a long time, and maybe I could have gotten it done a lot sooner. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I wish I was like that a little more.
No, listen, different strokes for different folks. For me, it worked because look at me. I'm kind of a loudmouth, I'm not a wallflower. I can handle that. Some other people might have gotten upset. You know, oh, my nerves are shattered, whatever. Um, so
Yeah.
I don't say that's going to apply for everybody. I think you have to read the
Yes.
room, right? And there are some people who just refuse to get it. It doesn't matter what you say to them. It doesn't matter how much fact they just do not want to know. They look, it's just like alcoholism.
Mm.
There are people, I would consider myself a high bottom. I had the house, the car, the relationship, the dog. I didn't lose all that, okay? I just had an experience of incomprehensible demoralization. I realized I had a problem and I got help. But some people have to lose not just the car, the house, the home, the relationship. They have to kill 3 people on a
Right.
freeway. Okay, that's their bottom. Okay, in my case, I made a big fool of myself at a party in Hollywood where everybody I knew was at.
Was that the incident that caused you to go sober?
Yes, yes. And so that was my bottom. I woke up the next day filled with what is described as incomprehensible demoralization. Who was that person? Oh my God, that person was me. Ah, right? Well, people have to have that same hitting bottom when it comes to eating meat and dairy. And then what they have to realize is it's not a sacrifice. It's more
Yes.
fun. We vegans have more fun. I'm sorry.
Okay, let me bring it back to Age Like a Badass Mother, Jane, which is my daughter's name, by the way. One of my favorite names in the world.
Badass? Your
Badass
daughter's
Mother.
name is
My daughter's
Badass?
name is Badass Mother. Her name is Jane.
Oh, Jane. Well, my parents did a lot of kooky things, but I have no complaints with the name.
Same.
Thank you,
Me
Mom and
too.
Dad.
I like my name too. My parents were off the wall, but okay, they picked a good name. Do you have a best piece of advice for aging well?
Well, this is a magnet on my refrigerator from Oscar Wilde. Oh, this is actually my best piece of
Okay,
advice.
best piece of advice.
Okay, my best piece of advice from Oscar Wilde. Be yourself, everybody else is already taken.
Yes, I love that. That's true. And then do you have one for aging well or?
Well, I would say don't become an old timer. Like certain people who get older, first of all, I've had people come up to me like this. I watched you when I was a little kid growing up. I mean, really? So, yeah, I think it's attitudinal to a certain
Mhm.
degree. My mother always had a very youthful, she was into, at the end of her life, even, she lived to
That's
99 and a half. So
incredible.
we give her 100.
Wow.
But she knew the new artists. She actually didn't want to hang around with old people. She had younger friends and she was into the culture, whatever the
Yeah.
culture was at the time. Now, my dad, God bless his soul, was very old fashioned. So nothing after Cole Porter sounded good. It was all
Right.
garbage. And so there was the different takes,
Mhm.
right? And tragically, my dad died at
Mm.
67, and I thought he was old when he died, but I realized how young he
Sure.
was. Um, and again, mom lived to 99 and a half. She had a very youthful, funny enough, okay, when I was in New York, I was walking my dogs in Central Park. I used to run into this older lady, and she was Russian. And remember, my mother had a lot
Yes.
of Russian friends because she had this Russian partner, dance partner. And so I said, you should come and meet my mother. And she was an older lady. And I brought her over because we live 2 blocks from the park on 57th. And I brought her up to meet my mother. My mother said, when the woman turned around, I don't want to get that old person out of here. And she didn't like
She didn't
old
wanna be around
people.
old
She wanted
people.
to be around younger people. Now, I'm starting to paint her as mean. She wasn't
Sure,
mean
I
at all.
get
She was
that.
very compassionate. But it was just kind of a funny moment where I was like, "Mom, really? She's probably 20 years
20
younger than
years
you."
younger. My
Um,
god, that's
but, I think having a sense of humor, don't take yourself too seriously. Don't feel like you know it all because 'cause you're a certain age. Um, Stay in touch with popular culture. Even though I break that, honestly, I'm not in touch with, like, the latest singers. Obviously, I love Billie Eilish,
yes,
and I
of
also love
course.
this, Chappell
Yeah,
Rowan. I
Chapel
think that's how
Roan,
you pronounce
yeah.
it. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
She's
She is
brilliant, and I
great.
heard her music, and I was like, "Wow, this is a brilliant." So occasionally
Yes.
one will break
Right,
through,
right.
but I will say I sound old, but I'm not into rap,
Yeah.
okay? So that makes me sound old. So maybe I should be open my mind to rap. Keep your mind open, those kinds of
Yeah.
things. And go vegan,
I
man.
know.
The studies show your longevity rate increases. Do it for your
Absolutely. Yes,
self-interest.
absolutely. And what's, out of curiosity, your favorite concert you've ever been to? Could be a long time ago, recent.
I have a favorite concert
Let's hear it.
because when I was growing up across the street from Carnegie Hall, I was invited to go see the Beatles when they were at Carnegie Hall. And my dad had to go to a cocktail party that night, and so he nixed the idea. And to this, I mean, talk about a resentment, right? I couldn't believe it. I couldn't go see the Beatles. Like this was like a thing that I carried around for years. So I'm at PETA's gala that's celebrating some huge anniversary. I can't remember if it was 35th or what. And Paul McCartney is singing. And I've got a table right here, and he's singing, I hear it's your birthday. And it was
Oh
my
my
birthday
god.
approximately within a week or something. And I was like, yes, you're singing to me.
Oh my
It's
god.
me you're singing to.
Uh,
That was my best
that's
concert
a pretty good
ever.
one. That is
That
good.
was a good one.
Oh, I love him.
Yes.
He's I saw him I've seen him twice, but I saw him a few years ago
Yeah.
at ACL at in Austin. He is just unbelievable. And I just saw Ringo not too long ago. Ringo Starr and his all-star band. That was another
Yeah.
incredible one.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Well, Jane, I mean, I can't even thank you enough for coming on. You're just such a powerhouse, so passionate, helping the animals. I just adore you. Thank you. Thank you,
Um,
Jane.
Thank you for all you do. Let's keep spreading the
Yes.
word.
Let's.
We're just trying to wake people up. I know you're trying to do it too. The clock is ticking. By the way, on Unchained TV, there's a documentary we did that won quite a few awards called Countdown to Year Zero
Okay.
that explains, Renee King Sonen's in it. It explains why we have to go plant-based. Keep your mind open, people. Just like I didn't want to give up alcohol and I was fighting tooth and nail, but when I surrendered to it, I've never looked back. My worst day sober is better than my best day drunk. It's the same thing with meat and dairy. Drop kick it, people. You will be happier. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, friend. From my heart to yours, be well until we meet again.